Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's broadcast. I am Anne LaFollette, and we are going to jump right in to today's topic, which is all about setting goals for the back half of the year. And one of the things that I wanted to mention right away was that it is not too late for you to accomplish the goals that you set out for yourself in 2025, right? I think that sometimes we can feel like, oh my gosh, it's already July. And we can think, I should have accomplished so much more already. But in fact, that is not the case because things happen. And although we set our intentions in January, it is totally fine to take a look at them again, to refocus, to reflect back, and then to start moving forward because there's plenty of time between now and the end of the year. So I wanted to do something a little bit differently, kind of. First of all, let me just see if my emojis are working. I will play with those so that I can say hello to everyone. And I hope that for those of you here in the United States, I hope you enjoyed a wonderful 4th of July weekend. And I thought I would do something a little bit different today, which is I know that Pauline Riley is here and that she will put the link in the comments, but I thought that it would be really fun for me to just help you feel like it is not too late for you to set your goals for the back half of the year. And I have a couple of things that I think can help. So let me just make sure that everything is working properly. I think it is. I can see that I am live on my Facebook business page, and I'm sure that that is also the case over on, it's also the case over on YouTube because I just got a message from there from Pauline Riley. So thank you so much, Pauline. So listen, let's talk a little bit about goal setting and why it is not too late for you to set goals for the back half of the year and still feel like you accomplished an incredible amount in 2025. So here's how you might be feeling though. You might be feeling that, oh my gosh, how come I haven't accomplished as much as I thought I would? Or you might be feeling that, I'm just going to bring this back over here because I think that I can see it better. And then I'm just getting my little setup set so that I can just see a little bit better what it is that I'm doing. So if you go to annelafolletteart.com/blog, you can see all the blogs that I've written recently. And the most recent one is all about setting goals for the back half. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that you are not feeling bad. You are not feeling like, oh my gosh, I should have accomplished more. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you encouragement and I'm going to give you an exercise to follow so that you can get yourself back on track. And so as I talk through this, please take some notes and also put in the comments what it is, what your big goals are for the back half of the year as you start to refocus on them. So the first thing is it's not too late. The second thing is it's just the middle of the year. And the third thing is there's plenty of time to accomplish your goals because it's only July 9th today. So we don't want to get too stuck on feeling bad about what we haven't accomplished, right? I think we are always very hard on ourselves. And I don't want you to be hard on yourself. I want you to do what you normally do in January, but let's do an updated version now that we're at the halfway mark of the year. So one of the best ways to set goals in January that we can leverage right now in July is you do want to look back to, first of all, celebrate what you have accomplished. And it may not be as big as you had hoped, but here's the thing. It's very important for us to always celebrate our accomplishments, no matter how big or how small, or how incremental you think they might be, because it helps you build momentum and it helps you get back on track. So it's always important in January to look back at the year prior and to write down everything that you've accomplished so that you can celebrate, because it's really important to always start with celebration first. And then you start to plan out your next year. And so we can do that right now for the back half. So take a minute, take out your journal, take out a piece of paper, or you can do this later if you'd like, but take a look at everything that you've accomplished since the beginning of the year. And frankly, that could be personal things. That could be, I have been doing a great job taking care of my dad, who's 95, and he is moving more into the world of dementia, but he still recognizes me. I go there every single day unless I'm traveling. And that's a huge accomplishment since January, because January was a big change for him. He moved into a different part of his retirement facility. So that's just an example. And you might have people that you take care of in your life as well. And so you want to celebrate the fact that a lot of your time is spent taking care of them. You may also have accomplished a goal since the beginning of the year where maybe you took a new online class and you learned some new skills, and you still have more to learn because, learning never ends, but you can write that down as a big accomplishment. And maybe you also have started to do work on several things, whether it's new designs for your portfolio, or whether it is trying out a new print-on-demand company, right? Maybe you're just started to upload some of your designs to Spoonflower, or you're checking out other alternatives. Those aren't completion tasks, or they're not completed tasks, but this is another great example of how often what we're working on is on a continuum. And so you need to stop for a minute and celebrate where you are on that continuum, because you've made progress, right, since the beginning of the year. So it is super important to look back and reflect, but do not judge, right? Don't be judgmental. I think that it's important to remember, and this is actually the image that I used in for the cover image of my blog. It's a winding road. Right? So we are just on this winding road. So hold on a second. I'm going to just show it to you because I thought this was the perfect image for me to pick for, I'm going to share my screen. You guys know what this is. This is my website, anneLafolletteart.com. And if you click on the, let me see, it's right over here. If you click on the red button, the blog button, you can scroll down and you can see I did a 4th of July post blog, but also this just yesterday on the 8th, I did setting goals for the back half. And so I use this winding road because I think it's really important for us to remember that our progress is not a straight line, right? Our progress, no matter what it is that we're pursuing in our creativity, is not a straight line. And so I thought that that was kind of the perfect way to depict that in the blog this week. So remember, look back and write down what you're really proud of, and tell me in the comments. Tell me like what you're super proud of that you accomplished since the beginning of the year. Tell me what progress you've made. Even if you feel like you haven't completed whatever the task was, you've made some progress on it. And many of the things we do are on this continuum, like I just mentioned. And then the other good thing is, what lessons did you learn? Maybe you learned that doing some of the things you're working on are taking longer because life happens. And that's a really good thing to observe and to realize, because it means that for the rest of the year, you know you have to give yourself more time to accomplish the task. That might mean taking, watching Netflix a little bit not every single night. Or, right, taking something off of your plate in order to create some space for what it is that you want to accomplish. So what I now want to do is I want you to pick just a couple of priorities for the balance of the year. So I always like to be careful that I don't take too much of your time. So you understand the exercise about looking back, seeing what you're proud of, realizing you actually have accomplished quite a lot, and that now is the perfect time to set goals for the balance of the year. So pick one or two things. Don't pick too many things, right? Because you may have observed that things take longer than you think because life happens. So pick one or two things. And then I want you to use this exercise that I do myself, which is that I want to pick my big goals, and then I want to break them down into milestones. Right? Because most tasks like building your website or creating a new freebie to get out and to continue to build your email list, they have multiple components to them, right? And so you might write down, my big goal for the balance of 2025 is to build my email list. And there are going to be a lot of milestones underneath that. So the first milestone would be, okay, who am I attracting? Do I know enough about my customer, my ideal customer? That could be something you want to continue to do some research on in July. Then in August, you might say, okay, I'm going to build my PDF. It's going to be a PDF document on such and such, and I'm going to make sure that I've got that taken care of. I've built it in August. And there are kind of three things you have to build, right? There's the document itself, which is your freebie, but then you have to put it onto an opt-in page, right? Because you have to be able to then have a URL that you send out to, when you post on social media saying, hey, I've got this really, really great freebie. Click here to download it, right? And so there are three steps. There's the freebie itself and building the content. Then there's making sure that you actually have the opt-in page created that has the form on it where someone puts in their name and their email. And then you have to have a thank you message, right? The third part is a thank you email and maybe a series of emails after they actually download it. So maybe you can do all of that in August, or maybe that's an August and mid-September through mid-September activity. You get the idea. So you pick what they are. Tell me in the comments if you already know what they're going to be. And then I want you, again, to break it down into key milestones so that for each month you have kind of one or two or three things that you know you have to accomplish in that particular month to continue to make progress. And then you got to go deeper, right? Then you got to go from a big monthly milestone into, okay, what am I going to do each week? And here's what I like to do. I have these giant calendars on my wall. They're these big, big calendars. They're big calendars. I'm going to go get one. They're giant. They're really, really giant. I don't have the URL handy for it, but you can basically just Google giant calendars and get one on Amazon. But I love them. This is actually for June. And they're really, really big. And then I use Post-it notes, and you can see my Post-it notes are color-coded so that I can keep track of like the things that I'm always doing in my business. Because as you can see, I always have something happening on Monday, which is in pink, because I have a monthly membership called Anne's Atelier, and we do something in there every single month, every week of the month, rather. So those are my pinks. Then this is a mastermind that I'm in with Amy Porterfield. And so this does not happen every single month. This is actually an in-person event with her, and there are 3 of them over the course of the year. And so I was just back in Nashville, where she lives, in June. And then this is my 3-day, my live event. And so many of you came to my 3-day live event, which was called the Creative Business Blueprint Live, right? It was a virtual event. And so this is my orange color that depicts that I was doing that. And then I have my own mastermind. And so I meet with my masterminders. Many of you are here because I see that Maria Dominguez is here in the chat. We meet twice a month. We meet usually on a Thursday. This had to move because I was with Amy Porterfield. And then we had a Q&A at the end of the month. And we have our next mastermind meeting tomorrow, right? So we always meet, we meet on the second Thursday of the month. And then we also have a get unstuck kind of Q&A session, ask me anything session on the last Friday of the month. So anyway, long story long, you need to get to that level of detail either in what it is that you are already running in your business on a recurring basis, or it's a great exercise for you to do to block out any vacation time you have, because we're in July, so you might have a lot of time where you are going to be doing no work. You're going to be taking a vacation and going someplace fun and enjoying yourself, which is great. So block that off on the calendar, and then figure out, how many like parts of a day or how many days a week you're going to be working on the activities, your main goals for the rest of the year. And I love to both have a giant calendar and also use Post-it notes because things change. And so I can take the Post-it note off and move it if something happens, because life happens and we need to be flexible when things happen. And yet you can continue to move forward and know you're making progress because you just move the Post-it note and put it on a different date when you know you're going to have more bandwidth. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go into the comments because I see that many of you are actually, let's see. Let me cancel that. I don't know what I wanted. I wanted to say hello to many of you. So here is Lorelei, and she said that is so doable. It is doable. I completely agree. And then Maria, we're going to talk more about setting goals in our mastermind meeting tomorrow. She said, July, start mini monthly workshop. August, keep up momentum. Start a blog to recap each month and continue building artwork. Fantastic. I love it. That is awesome. Drawing more also, yep. And booking your goals. I love that. So you got to write them down. And you have to write them down. So this is the other thing that I said in the blog this week was that, if you write your goals down, you are 42% more likely to actually stick with them and accomplish them, not stick with them, accomplish them. So okay. So add more comments in the chat. I'll continue checking there. But what I wanted to say was that this is really important. So if you're multitasking, come back to me. You are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So I put, if you go to annlefelletart.com/blog, and then you just go to the blog that's about setting your goals for the back half, which is the most recent one, you will see that I have a link to an actual study that talks about this 42%. But here's the thing. You can Google, let's see, what words did I use? I think I used something like the power of writing down your goals, or why should I write down my goals? Any of those words. Why should I write down my goals? The benefit of writing down my goals. Should I write down my goals? You can ask Google those questions, and then it's going to come up with a whole bunch of articles. And interestingly, all of the articles basically state, you're 42% more likely to actually accomplish them if you write them down. And it's not that hard for us to write them down. You can write them down in your journal, or I like to write them down in the side area of my giant calendar. So I know that I have specific goals and activities each month, and so I write them down in the sidebar. There's a big, huge sidebar area on that calendar, and then I can, of course, check them off, and I accomplish my goals because I write them down. Right? And so let's see. So Pauline, what have you got going? She said September, she's going to plan her Christmas fair. Very smart, because you got a big, listen, here's another reason why it's so great to do your goals right now, to reset your goals right now, is because we're heading into the best time of the year for sales. Right? The best time to focus on what your offers are going to be, whether they're physical or digital products, is you want to get them all up and running over the summer, because then you're going to be able to sell them throughout the balance of the year in October, November, and December. And December in particular, like your Christmas fair, is going to be huge. So you need a lot of lead time to order your stock. And she uses a planner for that, which is very smart, because you got to go backwards from when you need them. And you probably want to give yourself a couple of extra weeks in case there's shipping delays. or something comes back and you don't like it and you need them to fix it. So you don't want to just work backwards from like when the fair is. You want to give yourself a couple weeks before that to make sure everything has been, you've got everything in place, like everything's been delivered to you, and then work backwards from that about, well, what does that mean in terms of when do I have to actually order the stock, with enough time to proof the stock, so you look at it so there's no errors in it, etc. So planning can be fun, right? Planning can be fun. So the other question I had for you is, like, who is in your corner for accountability, support, and general cheerleading, right? Because if you're trying to do this alone, it's kind of lonely out there, and it's so much fun to do this in community with others. And so you can learn more about my programs by going to annafollettart.com, and up at the top, you can check out my mastermind, you can check out my other programs, and I would love for you to reach out to me if you need help, because it's a lot more fun to do this in community with others, because we now have the internet so that we can connect with each other like this. And the event that I held in June was so amazing because we did it on Zoom, and so we could interact with each other. I mean, the best part was getting to know the women who came, understanding where they are in their creative journey, how I, as a strategist, and like I have, my whole background in corporate was strategy and business development, business strategy, essentially. And so I can see things that you can't see, and then I can help you put in place the steps to move forward and make the progress that you want to make, building your own business, whether that's a part-time business, a side hustle, or just something that you're doing on occasion that brings you a lot of joy and fulfillment and sense of accomplishment. All right. Well, you can read the whole blog by going to annafollettart.com/blog, because I would really love to ask all of you to make sure you don't feel like it's too late this year. Don't give up. It's kind of like people set their goals in January about going to the gym, and then by February, everybody's given up. But the thing is, it's okay if you took a breather, but go back, right? Just think how much you can get done on your fitness if you were to go back to the gym in July. So using that as an example, it's never too late to restart and refocus and get recharged. So thank you so much for joining me. You know that I always like to say in closing that I am Anna Follett, and it's never too late to create. And I will see you next week. Many of you I will see tomorrow, but for the rest of you, I will see you here next week. And bye for now.